Welcome! This is an instructional video to help you make seitan. The recipe used in this video can be found on www.elegantlyvegan.com. So, let's start. You will need the following ingredients to add to your vegetable stock and liquid: soy sauce, maple syrup, liquid smoke for that smoky flavor, a bay leaf, and sage. I also like to use some smoky chipotle powder, but you can omit this if you do not like hot and spicy food. And of course, last but not least, the famous and the best ever onion powder. This is the cooled off and finished liquid, which I've blended all the spices and previous ingredients in. Make sure to get a large bowl and 2 large pots. Make sure to have your seitan flour and a measurement cup available. Also get something to stir with. So, first we start to add the liquid to the bowl. Then you add half the amount of the seitan flour from the recipe. It's even easier if you stir while doing this simultaneously, but I had so much going on with the camera and everything, so I was just adding and then stirring. Stir together, and now it's going to be very wet, so I need to add more flour. But I just want you to be able to see this step of the process properly. And you can see it turns into kind of a mincy type kind of texture, and it's still very, very, very wet and has a lot of liquid in between the mincy kind of texture here. So I'll definitely need to add some more flour. And I've saved this entire process on camera, not cut it away, so you can see how I do this. Then I get some more seitan flour. And now it's starting to become really tough. And I add a little as I go along. So now I just added 1 deciliter or 2 of the seitan flour, but I definitely need some more seitan flour here. And you can see the actual liquid in the bottom of the bowl, and I'm going to add even more seitan flour. And it's always best to do like piece by this. That you add 1 deciliter or cup if you prefer, and start to work it together, and then you add some more. And now I have washed my hands because it's really tough and I really need to work into the seitan flour to the dough so it gets in there properly. And I knead it carefully for some time until I'm happy and confident that I got the flour more inside the dough, so it's not marbled, so it really gets in there. But I really need some more flour, so I'm adding more seitan flour. And I'm adding too much because I'm getting a bit And as you can see, I've added too much seitan flour, but that's fine, because I can just take it out of the bowl after I've kneaded it for some time and let the rest of it soak in and work it into the dough. And I'm kneading it, and you can see it's kind of wet, but much drier than before. That's what I'm trying to show you here, that it's wet but dry, and that's the secret of the seitan recipes that I make, that the dough is supposed to be wet but dry, and it's really odd, so it's easier to show you guys on camera how it looks. So it's still pretty wet, but it's much drier than before. And now it's kind of time to make this into smaller pieces and start working together the flour with the pieces. So I'm gonna get my cutting board. I'm gonna make some pieces out of this. So I'm dividing the dough, and you can see it's slightly marbled, but that's fine. I'm gonna work it into the flour into the dough in the smaller pieces, because I think that's easier for me, because I have smaller hands. And I can also be in more control of it. So I'm just adding some more flour to the wet areas, just trying to get it in there, and then I'm working these pieces on the actual chopping board instead. So here they are. I've been working them a little bit more off camera, so you don't have to see that long of a process. So they're very fluffy and airy, and they're like dry but still wet, as you can see, as it gets stuck on the board. And now it's time to get a sharp knife and start cutting. So this is what I do. It's very simple. I make small pieces, and I'm really not that I'm just very quick and swift, and I'm not that super careful to get just, you know, equally sized pieces. I'm just like chopping it, and this is what they look like. And you start to chop them up. There's like keeping together, airy and fluffy, still wet, but not too wet. It's like the perfect texture. And now I've chopped up quite a lot of chunks here. I'm going to add these to the pot, where I've added some hot water and a bay leaf, and I've already added some of the chunks. And then I just start to just drop them in there, and don't be, and they won't, you know, stick together. And here are some strips that I made, because I made chunks and I made strips. And I'm adding a bay leaf into that, and adding some water on top of it. And then I'm gonna put these on the stove, because they're going to simmer gently for about 45 minutes. And here you got the chunks and a bay leaf and some spices. You can also add some more spices or bouillon to this step of the process if you like. And here they are on my stove. I'm a bit nervous that this will actually be too small of a pot. And while they're on the stove, I'm placing some baking paper on a surface. I do this because I want them to cool off and dry off before I freeze them. And you can of course put these on top of trays if you like, so you can just move them around, but I have plenty of surfaces in my kitchen, so I really don't have to. And I think about 3 will make it, and will be enough for this batch that I'm making now. And yes, the pot was too small, so I had to get another pot. You can see in the background I have 2 pots on top of each other, so I had to get another pot. And here is the finished result before I take them off the stove. You can see they have expanded quite a lot, more than I thought actually. So I use a spoon with lots of holes in it, I think it's called a sieve, and I start to place it out evenly on the baking sheets. So once I've done, it looks something like this. And once they have dried off and cooled off, they're a bit like, how should I say, they're quite, the texture is quite bouncy, and I've made both chunks and strips. And this is, I had even more to make, which I added into a glass bowl to marinate, and this is how the strips look. You can of course chop them up some more if you like to. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe below for more videos, and for more vegan recipes go to elegantlyvegan.com.